Okay, good afternoon. I'm Brent-Garry from NASA Goddard, and greetings from Lovettsville, Virginia. Next slide, please. So this is a year two review of a 3-year PDART to update the maps of Apollo's 15, 16, and 17 landing sites. It's kind of a 3-part project. The first part is to digitize the original pre-mission geologic maps, kind of the way they were talking about restoring some of the other maps for like Mars and the Moon. Create 6 new geologic maps based on the decades of works and new data, and then update the crater model ages for each new map. Next slide, please. So with kind of task 1, we've been working on, last year we presented that we updated the regional maps for Apollo 15, 16, and 17 that you see on the right there. Now we've been working on the kind of the more local landing site maps. So this includes georeferencing the old maps to a new base map, the WAC or the NAC images, create the symbols and lines, tracing the geologic context, the linear features, making the polygons, and then also colorizing the map to represent the original color of the original map, and then provide the map text and DOMU. Next slide. So we were working on the landing sites, as well as Apollo 17 actually had some post-mission maps done. Next slide, please. So for the landing site maps, we have Apollo 15 finished by my student contractor, Mary. The line work for Apollo 16 there in the upper middle is done. I just need to colorize the map and make the polygons. And for Apollo 17, all the pink lines are the geologic contacts, and the white, some tiny white dots you might see are the map units, but still working on the linear features to finish that one. And then hopefully this year in year 3, we can update the Apollo 17 maps, or the post-mission maps. Next slide, please. Part 2 of the proposal is to create new maps at 1 to 200,000 and 1 to 24,000 of the Apollo 16, 17, and 15 sites. The black lines you see are the original maps from the pre-mission maps, and the white boundaries, as well as the little golden orange squares you see, are the boundaries for the new maps, the 1 to 200 and 1 to 24K. So I have updates for Apollo 15 that I'll show. Next slide. So here's the regional map for Apollo 15. It extends much further from the original boundary. Lately, I've been working on defining the geocontacts for the Mars boundary, as well as working on a lot of the linear features, especially defining where the main Hadley Rill is. Just the green and pink lines are kind of my sketch maps. Soon I'll be moving into defining the kind of the Highlands area and trying to figure out how to kind of map those different units. Next slide. For the landing site map, the 1 to 24K, which is at a much higher scale than the original map, which was 1 to 50,000. I've been working on, again, defining the Mars boundaries, and I've done a first pass at mapping the details of Hadley Rill based on a schema from Roberts and Gregg in 2019 that they did a map for Rima Marius. So I've gone through and mapped kind of thick and thin outcrops. You might be able to see some orange and blue lines in there. There's also been some nice little faults along the margins of Hadley Rill. And then there's some green dots there in the middle, which are boulders and their associated boulder tracks that are kind of through there. The green and pink blobs are areas where there's either debris or outcrops. So I'm starting to work on that. And I've mapped out the structure of the North Complex up above the landing site, which the crew just never got to visit, and then a small kind of like a raised plateau area off to the right. And I think I need to switch around some of my linear boundaries. So I still need to work on classifying the different types of craters. So some look like they're pre-Mars, might be slightly filled in or invaded by some of the Mars units. And then I want to create a more accurate traverse map this coming year. Next slide. This just shows topography of Hadley Rill. Kind of, we don't really see too many margins or levees really bounding the edges of rills, but this shows in the green and yellow right around that main bend there from the first EVA, where the mar is kind of piled just a little bit higher. So if you see the lower profile, looks like there might be some overflow of what can be interpreted as overflow of lava from the rill that we might be able to map out as a different boundary based on some people's work. Next slide, please. So task 3 is to create an updated crater catalog that we'll use to do crater model ages for the defined map units. So this has been worked on by Lillian and Mohini at the USGS, where they've been mapping craters more than 500 meters on the 1 to 200,000 maps and larger than 10 meters on the 1 to 24,000 maps. Here's an example from the Apollo.
Excuse me, Brett, can you wrap up, please? We're running.
Yep. Okay, so then next slide. Anyways, so they've done a lot of good work mapping the several thousand craters on each one. Keep moving through. Next slide. Apollo 15. Here's Apollo 16, and one more slide, Apollo 17, and that will be at crater. And so they're just waiting on us patiently for the map units from Apollo 16 and 15, 16, and 17. Thank you for your time.